I was asked to do a tour of tanks. So today I'm going to do a quick tour of the tanks that I currently have up and running in my home and a quick overview of the equipment that is on them. So I'm going to start with this little tank. It's a little saltwater tank. It is made from a Cobalt. It's got a Cobalt tank. It's an 8-gallon. It was a freshwater kit that I wanted the tank part of. So I did not use the filter or the light. I just used the tank part, and it's a little desktop, 8-gallon desktop. And I actually am selling this on Craigslist right now. I've kind of gotten bored with it, and I have too many tanks. But just because I said I was going to show all the tanks in my home that I currently have, this is one of them. It's set up simple, like my other tanks. All my tanks are set up very simply. So this has no sump, no refugium. It simply has a Hypergo Chinese box light nano from off of Amazon that was pretty inexpensive. I have to keep it turned down pretty low because it is very bright. It's one that has the 2 little buttons on the top and has 3 little lights underneath it, the LEDs. On the back I have 2 palm filters. In one I have just the poly kind of filter floss, the blue stuff that you can cut to size on one side, and some pantyhose on this side with another piece that I cut to size to filter the water. In the pantyhose I have carbon and the stuff that absorbs the phosphates that I use. Can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, and I also use a tiny piece of polyfilter absorption stuff in here as well. And I just have a little heater, the Neotherm, that is Cobalt Neotherm heaters. I love those. They're thin, they stay out of the way, they do a good job of keeping the tank at the right temperature. Got live rock, live sand, a few corals, very lightly stocked, very lightly fed, 1 little clownfish, and a couple of, I think I have 2 shrimp in there, of the pistol shrimps. I had gotten one and thought it died and replaced it and found the other one day, so there's 2 pistol shrimps in there. So that's all that's on this tank. I literally only take out like a gallon of water and replace that water once a week, and then change the filter materials. And I vacuum this tank as well, and I've just it's a very simple, easy tank. I've just gotten bored with it, and I need to cut back, so this one is actually going. But that's one of the tanks. The next tank on this tour is a freshwater bowl. This is a very large bowl, if you can see. Golly, it probably holds 8 gallons, between 6 and 8 gallons. It is set up with the Wallstead method. I think I've had it on a different video of mine. I've had this one set up for about a year. And very easy to take care of. It has dirt in it. The dirt is capped with coarse sand. Live plants. I have to trim the plants out quite often. There's some chili rasboras, some shrimp, and some snails in here. It's got a basic light from Home Depot, a CFL 14 watt with a regular old lamp on this, and it grows the plants, low light plants, very well. Very easy to keep clean. I don't vacuum it. I take out and change a gallon of water once a week. The filter on this is just a baby bottle filter that I made with a air stone. I drilled a hole up around the neck of that bottle, put an airlift tube on it, and drilled some holes in the bottom of that bottle, and I just shove it full of filter floss and run that air stone, pulls with the bubbles going up that lift tube, pulls water through the bottom and through that filter floss. You can see it's dirty. I change it about once a month. But this is a very low maintenance, beautiful little tank that I love. Very easy to take care of. It's a good little tank. The next tank is this little 5-gallon tank. Teeny little 5-gallon. It's got 2 Finnex Stingrays on it that I got off Amazon. It's got a palm filter on it that I just cut a piece of that filter pad to the right size, and there is no anything else in here. No carbon, no nothing to absorb phosphates. No poly filter, no heater. Like super simple tank. Super, super simple. The strata in here that I used is the Fluval plant and shrimp. I think there's a piece of driftwood in there, maybe a rock under all that somewhere. The fish that are in there are some pure endlers. I used to breed endlers, I don't anymore. So there's some pure N-class endlers in there, some Armano shrimps, lots of snails, little 5-gallon. I feed it very lightly, change 1 gallon a week. Don't vacuum it. Trim plants out of it once in a while. Very, very low maintenance, easy to take care of 5-gallon tank. This is a little 1-gallon tank. It's in my kitchen, and it's kind of like a night light. I literally take 1 cup of water out of here and replace it once a week. It has a sponge filter in it. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a tiny, I get them from China, shipped them from China. Tiny little sponge filter. It's got 2 or 3 yellow neocaridina shrimps in there somewhere. A lot of snails. As for the light on it, is some kind of light that I got that's for fish bowls. It is a plant light, and I just balance it kind of on the top there. Makes a nice little night light in here. Very simple, easy. Use the Fluval plant and shrimp strata on that as well for the base, and barely have to touch this tank. This is a 5-gallon Cobalt cylinder that they came out with a while back. The cylinders and the different shape stuff. I had originally got it to try and do salt water in it, but I couldn't get the flow right and got frustrated with it. Turned it into a freshwater tank, and it's 5 gallons. Fluval plant and shrimp strata. The plants do great in it. Very low maintenance, no vacuuming. It's got a celestial pearl Daniel in there, and I think two other fish in there. Catfish. Autosynclus cat maybe in there. Not very many fish, not much. There's some shrimp in there and some snails, but I feed it very lightly, and it again has just a little palm filter on it, and all I do is change the little pad in there. That's all that's on this. Once a week I do a little water change of like a gallon maybe, and I feed it very lightly. I did put some moonlights on there. That's what that blue is hanging down. And then the light on this, I don't know what it's called, but it was from the freshwater kit of that little 8-gallon one that I had that's a saltwater. So I just stuck it on here, and it grows plants, low light plants very well. Very pretty, easy to take care of. Takes me 5 minutes to clean and maintenance this once a week, and I just toss a little tiny bit of food in there every couple days. Very, very simple setup. This is my crystal red tank. I used to breed neocaridinas as well, reds and blues and endlers, and I've got too many tanks, and I'm kind of getting out of that kind of thing. I don't know if I'm going to keep breeding crystals or not, but this is one of the tanks I do have set up right now. It's a 10-gallon standard tank you can get at Walmart. It's got the Fluval plant and shrimp, strata in it. I try and keep things as simple as possible, so I do not buy shrimp mixing salts and special water and all that kind of stuff for this tank. We have very good well water. It's very hard, and I mix it with just distilled water. I use two-thirds distilled, 1/3 my water. That's all I do for this tank. I don't mix any kind of shrimp stuff in here. There's no heater on this tank. It's got just a little sponge filter in the back that I clean about once a month. And the lights that are on this are good lights. These are the programmable plant lights from Current, and they're great lights. I don't even touch it. They have moonlights. It's programmed, so I don't really do anything to this tank other than a water change once a week, and then clean the filter about once a month or so. And the shrimps have babies all the time, and I make trades at the fish store for things I need with the shrimp from this tank. I'm kind of getting bored with them. I don't know if I'm going to keep them or not. They are so low maintenance to take care of. I might. They are pretty. I have blacks in there as well of the crystals, and then the reds as well, which are everywhere, just doing their little shrimpy thing. This old black one there, that's real pretty back there. But there's probably 50 full-grown ones in there, and then various sizes going all the way down to babies. And I need to trim this out. It's really gotten full of plants. But that's my 10-gallon crystal tank. I've done a whole video on this tank before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but this is one of my favorite tanks. It's in my bedroom. It is a 10-gallon reef, little mixed reef. The tank itself was a shrimp kit. Has the curved glass and a flat back. And I don't use the light that came with it on this or the filter. This is a very simple reef setup like my 20 long that I made a video about. Just got sand and live rock, and I just do a water change on it once a week. The only additives I put in here is Reef Energy Part A and B, because I do have Gongaporas, several kinds of Gongaporas in here, and they really do much better when I use Reef Energy. The only thing on this tank is a heater, which is one of the Cobalt Neotherms or one of those types, and then the Chinese box light Hypergos from Amazon. Covers this tank really well, and the corals do really well. I've only had this tank up for probably 6 months, so it'll take a while for things to fill in and look as beautiful as my 20 long. The only fish I have in here is my little firefish, and there is a pistol shrimp in there, and then some other little clear shrimps and some snails. So I don't know where my little clear shrimps are, but they're in there somewhere. A little shy fighting fish, firefish. And the filters I have on this little palm filter, I do use carbon in a pantyhose, and the Fosguard in here, and change the pads also. And there's a little piece of poly filter I use. I think that's a Cascade. I'm not sure what kind of filter that is, but those are the two I have on here for water movement, and so I can fit what I need in here to filter it. But that's my little bedroom reef tank. That's a 10-gallon. And then last but not least is my 20 long, which I've also done videos on its care and all that's in it. But since I'm doing a tank tour of everything I have, other than a couple fish bowls I'm not going to put on here, this is my tank I've had up the longest. It's over 3 years old. It's a mixed reef, and like I said, I've done videos on its care, but I'll just quickly do a pan so you can see all the corals and how they're doing. And this is a very simple setup as well. No reef, no refugium, no sump. Lightly stocked. Just those fish there. There's the two clowns, and over to the left you can see Watchman Goby. He has a little pistol shrimp buddy. And I feed pretty heavy in this tank because I also have a big starfish in there, the serpent starfish that's pretty big. And I have lots of bad critters too. There's a bristleworm coming out looking for some food. And I try and pull them out when they get big. I don't know if I can find my starfish or not. I don't even see him right now, but there's a side view. My clownfish are slowly killing the pallies that they hosted. They're just really hosting a lot in them lately, and they're over-loving them. I don't see my starfish. Don't know where he's at, but anyway. There's my urchin hanging upside down there under that rock ledge. But anyways, those are all the tanks that I have, so just have a good time with your fish tanks and happy reefing.